What's up, Illumineers? Welcome back to the Rules of Villainy podcast, where each and every week we bring to you the latest news and talk about the developing meta. We are in week 2 of Winterspell and have a lot to talk about. I, of course, am Brad, aka the Mayor of Lorcana. With me tonight, as always, is Villain Andy, and for the first time in ever, Captain Jimmy, the leader of our competitive team here at Rules of Villainy. Welcome, Jimmy. How are you today?
Hi, doing great. Excited to be here.
I'm excited that you are here. We have a lot to talk about. Let's just jump into it. We'll just skip over how Andy's doing. I'm sorry about that. We'll get into it.
He's fine. He's fine.
You know what? How are you, Andy?
I'm good. How about you, Brad?
I'm nervous for some reason. I've hosted the show before, but this isn't the first intro I've recorded, so I don't know what's going on. But let's jump into Underworld news. We got a lot to talk about with the meta. It's been exciting so far in all of our testing. But before we get to that, let's talk about DLC Melbourne. That's where Vince is at currently. Had a good time there. Had some good feedback from Vince. But we saw for the first time ever dogs. Maybe not the first time ever, but a major Disney Lorcana event. Dogs, Amber Emerald taking it down. How do you guys feel about that?
They were due.
They were due. Everybody's playing the dogs. The dogs were finally let out and got a seat at the big table. It was really exciting to see. Dylan LeDuc won the event, just masterfully playing dogs the entire time. Up against Blurple, I believe, in the finale. We saw Blurple mirror matches all, I think 3 times in day 1 during the stream on JDZ's Twitch channel, which was fantastic to watch. Him and please save me. I forget the other guy's name. Casting with him.
Is it Greg?
I think it's Greg. Correct. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong.
Right.
I feel really bad about it. I'm so sorry, Greg. If that is incorrect, you are Greg tonight. We're absolutely fantastic casting those games and had a blast watching those over in Melbourne. And then additionally, over the weekend, we had Miss Lorcana Fia winning the Mega Illuminaires Cup CCQ on, I think, Amethyst Steel. Is that correct?
Yep.
Absolutely a blast to see. All of the socials, our Discord, even specifically where I'm most in tune, seeing Kirsten and all the women cheering for that big win, finally getting to see that happen was such a treat. Very happy for Fia. But yeah, dogs and Amethyst Steel. That makes ROV Buster, still correct. It wasn't the DLC that Amethyst Steel took it down, but he did have a big win for the weekend. We can never count out his picks, right?
Yeah, I mean, you just got to give him a little credit. He is a dog, right? Sometimes he gets large-scale Disney Lorcana tournaments mixed up, especially when they're overseas in countries that he's not as familiar with. I mean, he's pretty good with his geography, but, I mean, again, he is a dog. So, for what it's worth, we're very happy with the performance. Yeah. He is in his ways. So,
in Buster, we believe. But what else we got, Andy?
ROV Kirsten will be on the Hobbyist Novice channel doing like a pack rush. I've actually got it all set up for her to do right after we finish recording this episode here. So, if we run really long and I disappear at the end of the episode, you'll understand why. But yeah, so keep an eye out. They're recording it. It should be out in the near future, I imagine. But we'll have
or
that
in the near past if they release before us.
That's a good point. So we'll have either a link in the description or it'll be on our socials. So keep an eye out for that when it comes out.
It's going to be a blast. I hope she pulls something really good and just has fun with it. The people over at Hobbyist Novice are so much fun. Enjoy watching their content. Do we have anything else? I don't think there's anything else in Underworld news this week. So let's jump into Constituents Corner, where we have quite a few questions. We had to actually put some aside for another time. So I think we got 3 or 4 of them here, starting with Crash asking, which Winterspell cards have overperformed and which have underperformed based on expectations? Like, personally, I think Angel is a big overperformer because she just single-handedly kills aggro. And banishes, by the way, Crash. Come on. And personally, Pete has been underperforming for me, but at least he's a good lightning rod, I guess. How do you guys feel with all your testing so far? What's your over and underperformers?
I think the one that sticks out to me as an overperformer, and I thought it was going to be good, but it feels even better, is Nani Stage Manager. Just because when you play her in these Amber decks, whether it's dogs or Amber Steel aggro, it adds a lot of consistency, as well as for dogs in particular, a 3/3 is a card you don't typically have available to you at dogs, or it's available but not something you play. But being able to pick up another Daisy Duck or a 2-cost Tramp, some of these key pieces, even a Grandma Willow, I think is really powerful. And then in Amber Steel, of course, finding a dock that much sooner is pretty big.
I like that you mentioned Willow too, because it just occurred to me as you're going through the play line there. If you play Willow on 2, because Nani's a 3-cost, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, so Nani on the next turn, you could play her for 2, find that 1-drop Daisy, and play her on the same
Yep,
turn.
it gets
And
pretty
it's
wild.
just like that's absolutely insane. And that 3/3 is nothing to scoff at because it
And a
dodges a
3-cost
lot.
is great for singing. So
Yeah. Yeah. How about your before we get into the underperformers, what do you think is an overperformer so far, Andy?
An overperformer, I think, would probably be Ohana. Ohana means family.
That's what I was going to say. So I'll have to find something else.
I play that in, Amber Sapphire a lot. And there's been not a ton, but there's been a couple times where I can get 5, 6, or even 7 damage on a Surfer Stitch, and then play that Ohana, and it's just plays that meme where Jonathan Ham's dancing, right? It's just so good.
yeah,
that-
yesterday on Tech Tuesday, you hit for 6 when you had 2 cards in hand, one of them being Ohana, and it just completely turned the game into, okay, I win now.
Yeah, just a massive amount of cards. So that is definitely a big overperformer. Even if you only get 3 or 4 off of it, like a Hades, when you have Hades as well in Sapphire, you're just able to get good value. But even a Daisy Duck, right? You could even do the Daisy Duck into a 3/3 or a 3/4, and then heal it up and draw 3 cards, which can be huge. I don't think it's played as much in these aggro decks, but maybe some of the more lower to the ground, but with a little potential to go in, like in the Amber Steel songs or something like that. But even in Amber Sapphire, it's great.
Some of my testing, yeah, I agree with you. I think most of the time, I guess the minimum is 1, but most of the time, I feel like it averages out to about 3, just for the 3 swing that a lot of things hit back for, like the Cheshire Cat or the Calhoun or whatever whatever's out there that you're swinging into for value. I told you today I had this testing in my testing this recently. I had Lumiere into Shere Khan to take out, so I think it was a cat or something, just to hit it with Ohana and draw 3. In fact, my best experience so far was hitting a Stitch for 5, but you got to be aware of who you're playing, or the matchup that you have, because we were deep into a Emerald Sapphire matchup, and as soon as I drew that 5, I feel like I was baited into it. Even though I won the match, I was baited into drawing 5 on that Stitch, and then I got bent to my will and lost everything on the very next turn. But yeah, it was not pleasant, but he was so far behind in lore, and the game was already over, but he decided, you know what, I'm going to hit you with this before I concede. And but yeah, Ohana has been one of those cards, and I've only pulled 1 of them. Yeah, but it was a foil, which is great for me, but I need a few more of them to actually to build up into my deck and not be playing with test cards anymore. My pick would be, as I'm talking about Amber, is Sarabi. The decks that I've been playing so far have both come from Wonderful, whether it's the Songs version, and we'll maybe talk about him a little bit more later, the Songs version or his current version, which has 40,000 views on Dreamborn right now. It's super, super popular. But Sarabi comes out even earlier than 4 with however you want to ramp, whether it be Ruben and Mulan, whether it be Willow, whether it be Lantern. Sarabi comes out and it just starts taking the strength away. -4 strength just on exert on anything on the other side of the board, and if you have any kind of removal, whether it be challenge or Horseman Strike, or not Horseman Strikes, the Horseman or Sisu or whatever, really easy removal with that strength reduction. But for so far in the 2 weeks of testing that I've had, Sarabi has been my go-to turn 3, turn 4 card to set up for some kind of board control there. What about underperformers? You guys have anything in mind there?
Yeah, I'll jump back in. I think for me, it's Colors of the Wind. I wasn't super high on it in previous season, but I was like, oh, it's just song, you can sing it. You think Friends on the Other Side, comparisons. It can draw two a lot of times. I think once it came down to practice, though, there's a lot of Amethyst decks, there's a lot of Sapphire decks, and so when you're playing Blurple and singing or playing this song, um, you can sometimes get two, which is fine, but there's a lot of fail cases that you hit one card, and that feels really bad to spend 4 ink to draw one, or spend your whole character's turn doing that. And I feel like a lot of decks started with two or three of it in early builds, and then it just kind of fell out of Blurple decks and hasn't really shown up since.
Yeah, I feel like if you're having a lot of mirror matches or something, like, you're at risk of only drawing one card a lot, especially when I talked about just earlier, we saw a lot of Blurple mirror matches, and I don't know that we ever saw on stream Colors of the Wind come out and only get one card, but it's certainly possible,
And so much of the deck is Amethyst too. Like, yes, it's Blurple, but you're playing like the Sapphire Ramp, and then you have a ton of Amethyst cards, right?
Yeah.
So,
how about you, Andy? You got an underperformer?
Yeah, I'd probably have to say it's Ohana Means Family. Because like in Amber Sapphire, when you play that card and you've got like a Tipo and a Cindy on board, and like, you want to try and develop a Hades, and then you want to try and get cards off it, like it just becomes very, very dead in your hand.
Yeah.
Albeit it is inkable, but if it was a song, I'd probably be a lot more happy with the card overall. So it's kind of like feels like a really greedy card, because that win of like 7 cards off of a Surfer Stitch is such a rush of not only cards to your hand, but adrenaline, right? So, but just having no chance in the world of being able to, do anything with this and get any good value off of it, it's kind of a really bad top deck. I'd almost rather Tipo. So
Well, it's a body.
at
It's a
least
body.
Swordsman Strikes, when they have no evasives, you can just play it for 3 and draw a card, which
Draw
is
a card, sure.
not the worst thing. But again, if you have like a Cindy or a Tipo on board, or they just have bigger characters, you're just like, well, I can't get any value out of this. It's nothing.
So let me get this right. Your overperformer and your underperformer are both Ohana Means Family.
Oh yeah, I guess they are. But
Fantastic. Fantastic. I mean, you made a good argument for both, and that seems very on brand. I was looking for another card because I was certain you were going to say the new Mulan. I need to get the subtitle here. Resourceful Recruit. There was a lot of hype behind that Mulan going into the set, but all my testing so far against it, she has not been a problem at all. I can't speak as a player for the card. Perhaps she's just hasn't been utilized in the correct way, or I haven't seen it yet. But anytime she's come out on board as the boogeyman that everybody was talking about, oh, this card is so broken and going to be in dogs and everything else, I haven't seen her do anything other than get banished almost immediately. But I'm playing a deck that allows me to do it because she comes out with 1 strength, and the Horsemans and the Sisus and all that stuff is just like, get out of here. I don't need you. So
yeah, she
so
didn't
far
even come across my mind in this question, because I'm just like, when she first was revealed, I was like, oh, that's kind of fun, but it seems more combo-y, and
sure.
I think everyone was hyped on the like, oh, they just put this in dogs and then Tramp gives it 1,000,000 of strength. Like, yes, but that doesn't, you don't have that lined up every game. And even then, let's say she quests for the total of 6 and you play Tramp, like, you don't have anything else really on board. Usually you want to use that Tramp to quest for 3 on Lady, which is, fine and fair. I think its true home probably lives in like a Ruby deck that's doing some weird Emerald Ruby stuff, where you just kind of have extra strength granting lying around as part of the deck. Versus,
I mean, they released a song with her to essentially just give her 5 strength when you play that song. So I do agree with you. I think Ruby Emerald is is what they're trying to do with that. What is that song? I forget. Force of a Great Typhoon.
Yeah,
And if you just have Lumiere's lying around, like it's just free lore, right?
more consistent. More consistent strength would definitely be nice. I was someone who said it was not good. Like I was pretty vocal about how I did
so it's
not
performing where you expected.
It's exactly.
That's why I assumed you would say Mulan on this question.
I think you got to perform to be able to underperform. Okay, and I don't even think they like showed up. Okay.
Yeah. At least not yet. There's a lot of people still cooking. We've had 2 great big events since the set dropped on that opening weekend. So there's still a lot of time left in the meta to figure out where she belongs, what they can do with it. So as of week 2 and our testing so far, I think that's where she lies, at least in my opinion. So let's move on to a second question from Jackalope Spam. He's asking, for North America, we don't have a DLC to look forward to this set. How seriously are you taking this meta? Perhaps taking it easier? What events are you looking forward to this set? So he got 3 questions in one there. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. Jackalope, I'm not taking it that seriously at all. As I'm getting married in 45 days, and we're in the crunch time now. I'm having fun with the game, and I'm trying to make things work. Oh, thank you. And as you said, there's nothing to really work for other than the third party events, which are coming up. We got Charlie's in a couple weeks. We got some people going to that. We're going to wish them best of luck this and next week, especially as they travel. But that's the kind of event I would like to go to. Hopefully, it's in the budget after the wedding and everything slows down, and I can get my head back into the game. But that's going to be about the time that we need to start thinking about Infinity for the DLC in June. So. Yeah, it's really right now the best event that I can look forward to realistically is 1, maybe 2 set championships in April, but that's my wedding month, right? So and I have to host one of them, so I might not even get to play in any big events this set, and it's a bummer. But sometimes you got to take that break and prioritize what matters. So how about you guys?
So what if? Let me ask you this: what if we could get a set champs to fire at your wedding? So what if we got a store
Emily would
board,
kill me.
We would have the set champs at your wedding at the reception, right? Yeah, I would have it like the reception so that you could still play in the tournament, and then in between rounds,
not a chance.
You go, hang out with your friends, other friends.
Yeah.
That you may or may not even have. We've never seen
I don't think
them.
other than us. I didn't realize there was others.
No, unfortunately, that's not going to pan out, but I appreciate your creativity. How about you, Jimmy? You got any big events? Are you taking it seriously? As we have a new competitive team here at Rules of Villainy, so I know you guys are putting a lot of stock into being the best that you can be. What's motivating you this set?
I think some of it's just intrinsic motivation. People on the team and even people just across St. Louis area are pretty competitive. So even our set champs are, I would say, more competitive than you'd expect from just a set champs. But also, like Charlie's, like you mentioned, there's an event in Louisville in March.
Yeah,
5K.
Is that through the decades?
Yep.
So there's various events if you want to drive to some, fly to some. You can go to Australia if you want, if you're Vince.
Yeah,
just because it's not North America doesn't mean you can't go. And I think
Ghent is coming up, right?
Yeah, Ghent is coming up.
I think there's some folks
get your passport,
going out,
the private jet,
right?
I don't know if Jackalope Spam knows that we can go overseas to these events. We should tell him. Vince is down there now. Like, for North America, we don't have a DLC, but we could go. We could,
it is
go down under. Yeah, it is a lot. And it's
the PJ doesn't come cheap, right?
Yeah,
so
for sure. I'm just joking, Nick.
First class.
But yeah, I think some of it's we just even in like the first chapter and Floodborne when I was playing, like I was playing pretty competitively, and there's no such thing as a DLC. I just like to figure out what the best deck is and play it.
Yeah,
that's fun for me. Like Andy said, he wants to have the most fun possible in a match Lorcana.
Yeah, that's definitely it for me. while there is the event that we are trying to go to out in Louisville, Kirsten and I are still just, it's fun to play the game, right? And to play the game at the highest level, you have to keep up with what is being played, and you have to practice, and it. So yeah, Jimmy said it well. It's a puzzle that we need to solve, and it's fun to solve. Whether there's silly cards that we can spend $5 on online or win them ourselves. Winning it yourself is so
Very
much
satisfying.
More.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It very much is such a great feeling. Hope to feel that again one day. Our next question comes from Heather. She says, several tier 2 decks made top 32 at large events this last weekend. Which is the biggest contender to move up, and which saw its peak this past weekend as well? Could include this, but shorter with just a question. Tier 2, Amber Sapphire, Emerald Amethyst Snowfort, Amber Amethyst, Amethyst Steel Locations, Amber Steel Aggro, Ruby Amethyst, and tier 1 in my head is Dogs, Amethyst Steel, Blurple, and Baja. I'll let you guys take that one from the competitive level here.
Yeah, I think probably similar tier ones in my head as well. I think what's interesting about like Amethyst Steel, Blurple, and Baja is they're always going to just do their thing. Purple Steel, the past 3 sets, has just kind of done its thing. It changes a couple cards up for how the meta shifts, but it's always kind of going to be there, it seems. Dogs is similar in a way, but it's a little more conditional on the meta. If everyone's, it kind of disappeared at the beginning of Whispers as people are playing a bunch of spooky sites. And then it came back at the end of Whispers meta when no one was playing spooky sites. And so that one's a little more conditional. I think I see some of these tier 2s as like those conditionally tier 1, where Amber Sapphire could be super great at just going over the top of everything if Dogs gets and other aggro decks get pushed out of the format by Purple Steel just teching hard into it. And then Amber Sapphire's like, cool, you have all these anti-item cards. I just won't play Cauldron, I guess. Kill my Lantern, I guess that's okay. I still have better value, right? And Baja will still, kind of have that over the top angle too. So I think it just depends on where people start to react to Dogs winning the DLC, and if they're sort of got their blinders on that it won. But also, if you look at the top 8, there's 6 Amethyst decks. So yes, it won, but it was one amongst several other types of decks too. So as the people hard correct to fight Dogs, they'll probably start to lose to other decks too.
Yeah. How about you, Andy?
I think all these tier 2s seem pretty reasonable as well. I think Amethyst Steel Locations is kind of, I don't know if that itself is necessarily like, dude, we saw it do well, but I think it's just in sort of that hyper aggro category. That could be like Amber Amethyst if it's more aggro, but Ruby Amber, which we'll probably talk about more as well, could probably be in there.
Mm-hmm.
These are all decks that just have really, really powerful lines that if they do them, they become very difficult for a good portion of the meta to answer. And if they don't do them, they often kind of fall flat. So, yeah, I still tend to think that, I guess the initial question was what is the biggest contender to move up? Personally, I still think Amber Sapphire from my testing seems really strong.
Clip that.
It seems really strong. It seems like it capitalizes on the easeability of just being able to play Raging Storm rather than having to have the full combo that Baja would have. So
the 1-card combo.
Yeah.
nothing felt worse than last Monday night when I played Andy first round, and then the game one, he just I wasn't even on my mind. I wasn't. It's a brand new set, first night of constructed, and it wasn't on my mind that the board wipe existed again. I know it was the big card. Everybody was excited it came back, but it just wasn't on my mind playing. I gotta retrain my mind to remember that a board wipe exists. And he didn't really do anything for the first like 4 or 5 turns as I'm
Nope.
establishing my board and doing all my stuff, and then turn 8 comes and he's just like Raging Storm, and I'm like, yeah,
Turn 8, man.
yeah.
I have
Well,
Turn
not,
8.
six.
I have
not,
8
not
ink
turn
on
8.
like
You know what I
turn
mean?
4,
Sorry,
bro.
I need to get in the habit of saying 8 ink. But yeah, on 8 ink, I have 4 things on board and ready to start. I have Sarabi. I shifted my Mulan the turn before. Just all this stuff out there, just trying to get as much lore as possible. And because like I think part of me knew that was a possibility, I just wasn't thinking about it in the turn. And then he played Raging Storm, and I was like, well, this game's over now because the rest of the game it's Hades, it's Pete. He just digs, finds all the stuff that he needs, and I don't have answers to those when he could just single target removal me when I either as exerted or unexerted with Let It Goes or and Into the Unknowns and Hades and whatever. It was just stomping, and it felt really bad. And I'm like, yeah, I gotta get used to that. But yeah, I agree with you. I think Amber Sapphire is in a really good place. I haven't played much of it myself, but just the fact that you can ramp up to that board wipe and take control, much like Amber Ruby, or not Amber Ruby, Sapphire Ruby used to do, was just, build a board, be prepared. Then you had your Tremaines and your Medusas and all that single target removal before Manor made its place. And it's just like, all right, I'm just going to drop some Manors and wipe the board and say, see you later. But,
Yeah, Cauldron's kind of a manor in a way,
in a
where
way,
it keeps chucking stuff out onto the board that produces value and lore that isn't affected by your board wipes.
Yeah.
And what blew my mind just a couple weeks ago, I think I already talked about on here once, was that you can load that thing up turn after turn and then just play everything because you have all the ink in the world with Amber Sapphire. So you have, 3 cards in there and enough ink to play all 3 of them on one turn. It's just like, yeah, go ahead, wipe the board, and then I'm just going to pull all these out of the cauldron and continue doing my thing. It's pretty gross. I'm interested to see how that mirror match works. Have you had a lot of mirror matches with that yet, Andy?
Not too many. I mean, I don't know. It just goes whoever gets the better hand. You just ramp up. You don't need the board wipe then, right? So you're just trying to play higher value characters. You still probably want the 2/4 6 line with the Moana to be able to ink from discard.
Whoever has more ink, more cards wins, right?
Yeah, and you
I think
definitely want
Cauldron is
Cauldron,
more important at the mirror.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think Amber Amethyst also is probably. I've seen a lot of really good, like mid-range. Maybe not the mid-range, but similar to what you were playing at the end of Whispers, Jimmy, with the, pumpkins, and Sven utilizes Sven fairly well. I think it ditches Lantern. I don't remember exactly, but I've seen
I've seen a lot of different builds people are trying. It's definitely not settled, but there's some fun stuff there.
But you can also
doing a lot better than I thought.
And since your opponent ramps you can still play a couple Raging Storm in there too as like a panic button. It's very reminiscent of old Ruby Amethyst.
Yeah, I was just going to comment. Eddie here locally had a 3-0 this week. If you want to see his deck list, it's on the meta report I released this past Monday. Looked really spicy. I want to build that. I'm missing. I still don't have any Hades from the last set. I think he's running 4 of that Make a Deal Hades. You're probably Andy's favorite card from last set if things haven't changed. And what's that?
It's fun.
It's fun. Yeah, I like making deals, but it's yeah, it looked really, really spicy. And I told him, I was like, if I looked at this sooner, I might have built that and played that Thursday night instead, because it just looks like it was a lot of fun with the ramp that you get. He had both Lanterns and Willow. And I asked him about his 3 drops. I asked him if he considered Library because of just card draw and everything you can get from there. Plus, it's an 8-body location, and it's going to take several resources to take that out. But he said and I agree with him. Playing anything 3-drop is tough. He's only running 4 of Cat and I think 3 of the Horseman Strikes because you're ramping up to 4 with Willow or Lantern on turn 3, right? So that the 3-drop is always a weird place to, or weird card to have in there, but looked interesting enough. Might check that out sometime. I'm really interested in the amber or the amethyst steel locations. I mean, I'm not an amethyst other than brooms, an amethyst steel lover, but that deck excited me because it was just something completely, off the beaten path of what we typically see with those colors. And everybody, the chat on JDZ streams was going crazy watching this deck do its thing, because who would have imagined it would have, performed as well as it did? We saw it in round one.
Give me the
And then
purple
they got to
mirrors.
talk. Yeah,
I'm chat don't know what's up. I
I've
want
had
the purple
enough.
mirrors. Give me
I've
more
had enough
purple
purple
mirrors.
mirrors in my life. I don't need any more of them right now.
Yeah, it is interesting though, because like I feel like the deck was definitely just a fun deck pre-rotation. Like I saw it around, people are trying it out because of John Silver. But I think the thing that always crushed it down is like every, Ruby Amethyst and Ruby Sapphire were running for Maui Hero Doll, and
Yeah.
location is just boom, location's gone. He didn't take damage,
Yep.
so he's going to take another one out and another one,
Yep.
another one. And so without
Another one.
big rush cards, like the rush characters we have now are Elsa for 2. Sven probably helps a little bit actually to fight locations. But I think
Excuse me,
there
sir.
is
We
that
still have a Rush Maui. It's a
we
discount.
have something.
Yeah.
But I think that it provides at least a little bit of an opportunity for it to
Sure.
obviously it did have a chance to do well, but I think rotating out those big rush characters helps.
Does the new Copper have Rush?
Yeah,
Yep.
the
I don't
Ruby
remember.
Both people are playing him.
8/6, right? Or 6?
Yeah, he's a big boy.
Yeah, he's a big boy.
Still can't beat a Manor though, which is wild.
Well, don't have to because it's not around.
Yeah.
It's foreclosed.
People could tech against it. It's one of those decks that has to survive as being a fringe deck. Like if it was all of a sudden the most broken deck in the world, we're just gonna play like 3 Freeze the Vine or whatever and move on with our day as a Baja player or something.
It's also, you got to take into account that it's the beginning of the set. Like the element of surprise was there for people to do something crazy like that and have no idea how to play against it, right? I mean, it happened in Seattle, which I don't think was the beginning of a set back then, but there was a guy who made top 32, I think, with an Ember Steel locations deck, because I had to play against it the next day in the constructed event, round 1, and just got absolutely destroyed. It's like, I have no idea how to play against this. He's just dropping locations and John
all
Silver
the Fix-It Felixes. That was a fun one.
Yeah, like, so like the element of surprise is still very much a tool to use. And I don't know what cards he included from the new set. I'm not looking at the deck list right now. That's probably an element to its success as well. But any other final thoughts on that question? I think we covered that pretty heavily there. We got one more before moving on. I didn't give you a window to say if you had any final thoughts. Sorry. All right, so the last question related, this is also, both of these kind of segue into our main segment. This is from Megan. She asked, might tie into the question above a bit, but Dogs has been pretty strong for a while, but has yet to really jump out as one of the top played decks. With its recent success in Melbourne, how do you feel, or how do you think this will affect the meta? And I think that's a really, really good question, because I think, as Jimmy even said earlier, a lot more people are gonna start shifting back to Dogs again. It's come in waves, and then seeing the success as we have in all these DLCs in the past. Any big event where a deck is super successful, a lot of people are going to go try it out, and if not only to play it and be successful themselves, but as we've talked about on this podcast before, learn how the play lines work from the player standpoint, and learn how to play against it as well. How about you guys? What do you think?
I think people are definitely gonna try it out like they do any DLC winning deck. I think Dogs has a pretty high skill floor, high skill ceiling as well, but the floor I feel like is pretty high to do decent with it. Just because it's not a play a card, turn all my stuff sideways aggro deck. I've always considered it more of a combo deck. That kind of, you feel like it's aggro because the characters in it are like, oh, they're low cost, high questers, but it's a lot of shifting to the right moment of, okay, here's now when I turn sideways, here's where I sing Under the Sea and do my thing. Here's when I play Chromacon and then go off. And so I think because of that, there are a lot of people trying it, but I don't think we'll see a large percent of the field in top events becoming Dogs, just because it takes a lot of investment to be even just decent at it. much less like super good. And that's why when you see like these dogs players out there, like they're doing things that you wouldn't have ever really thought of just because there's so much in there. I do think though that the way it'll affect the meta is people will overcorrect for dogs and put in a lot of tools. Like me, when I'm playing Blurple, I'm afraid of dogs because I'm like, well, I got to get like Tigger and Ramp and somehow just get all that going in and Elsa to disrupt them. But I don't want to put in like 4 Tigger and maybe like
Spooky
4
Sight.
Isis and Spooky Sight.
Yeah.
I feel like would overcorrect too much to where now I just lose to like Amethyst Steel and I lose to Baja and all these other things. And so I feel like we'll see more than we'll see additional dogs players. We'll see overcorrection that'll hurt.
Yeah. I think that you know, everything Jimmy said and Brad said, there's definitely going to be people who try it because it's successful. I think there's going to be people who, whether they overcorrect or just correct enough to deal with the amount, I think there's people who are going to continue to ride that sort of control, train. The mid-range decks like the Amethyst Steel doesn't really care what Jogs is doing or how many of them there are. They're happy with that, right? They're going to feast on that. And they can very easily tech for it if they aren't already with something like a Benjo or Pluto. And so the control decks might compensate or overcompensate for it, as Jimmy said. And then I also think it's going to be a matter of like a lot of people play decks that they like as long as they're somewhat competitive. So you'll definitely find people who enjoy different decks that way. And so I think you'll see everyone trying to make sure, hey, are we actually covered against dogs? Can we actually do something to that deck, right? While continuing to look, more at Blurple and Amethyst Steel, I think are probably the two tops of the meta. You need to be able to beat those two or do something into those two. And then you should also probably be prepared for Baja or an Amber Sapphire, probably similar style play. But, maybe you should also be prepared for dogs as well, right? So it's going to shift how everyone plays their favorite deck. And I think it'll be interesting to see, like Jimmy said, you'll sit down across from someone who's playing in a Blurple mirror and they play like Isis or, they finish the game, they're like, oh man, you got me. And they drop their hand. It's got like 2 Spooky Sights in hand. And you're like, well, you didn't want to get rid of my Tipo or something? And so it'll be a matter of how much of that occurs, right? So maybe consider that when you're tweaking your deck for the meta. Don't overcompensate too much for what you expect to see. Wait to see it. Wait to get absolutely demolished by it in locals, and then be like, okay, fine. If everyone's doing it and they actually happen to be really good, like Jimmy said, we got some really competitive players here. I don't want to encourage any of them to be playing dogs.
Yeah.
You hit that skill floor, and you're on your way to the skill ceiling, and it's scary.
Nothing is more frustrating as I've been playing my Amber Ruby, and I have all the tools to take care of these characters. But like if I don't draw my horseman early enough, then it stinks. But nothing makes me more irrationally like frustrated when I'm looking at a dog's board. Like Daisy, Tramp, Nani now, whatever else, and they don't turn anything sideways for like 3 or 4 turns. Even one of our newer players at game night, Brad, who's I think a former Magic player and plays a lot of tabletop games. I was playing against him, and I don't have a lot of experience against the Chromacon, and he was, he sat down across from me last night or Monday night and dropped that Chromacon at the right time before, like, he wasn't questing his Daisy for 1 or 2 turns, and I'm like, I'm gonna eat this guy alive. Like, all right, don't want to give me cards. You don't want lore. I'm just going to build my board. And then he's like, but he said had the rationale behind it, saying like, I've learned I don't need to. I've been told not to quest her too early, and this and that, for miscellaneous reasons and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, that checks out. I understand why you're doing it, but like, I'm ready to, I'm going to build my board and deal with it before you can even quest her then. And then sure enough, he establishes his board, does all this stuff, drops the Chromacon, and then suddenly it becomes a problem where I'm not experienced enough to know like the sequencing and how to do stuff now. So I'm dropping the shark too early to get the lore from the action that I'm playing, like the grab your bows or something to take care of stuff. And of course he bounces the shark back and all this stuff. And I'm like, well, I wish I still had that 6 ink to now play the shark, but I'm giving up that one lore.
One lore.
Yeah, so it's like a lot of learning there, and we learned a lot playing each other together too. And I want to give a shout out to him because he's been coming up to game night and really really good at the game. And but yeah, the players who I've tested against who don't turn anything sideways is I'm trying to set up for an Ohana or something, and it's like, this is really, really frustrating because as soon as that Chromacon comes down, they're like,
Very
I don't care if you turn sideways now. Yeah. Like,
would you say it's very would you say that Ohana in your hand is very underperforming when they don't turn anything sideways?
100%. Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I had you there.
But yeah, so I just want to add my 2 cents there from my testing so far is that I've seen a lot of Amber, Emerald, and probably courtesy of the success this past weekend, and Amber Ruby has no answer for Chromacon. You have to just beat them to the board before they do, right? Board control before they can drop that Chromacon, and we'll talk about it later because little foreshadowing for later. But any final thoughts on this question here, guys?
No, I'm good.
All right. If you, the listener, would like to ask the questions here, please comment below. Join our Discord where we have a Constituents Corner channel, and often conversations begin before they even make the air here. Or find us on the socials at Rules of Villainy. And then we're going to segue into the main segment. Andy, you want to take it from here?
Sure. We're pretty much just going to keep talking about the meta like we have been here mostly. Maybe talk a little bit about what we're playing, what we're seeing. I'm curious what we're like most afraid of, which kind of is dependent on what you're playing and what you're seeing a lot of the times. And so, let's I'll start it off by saying I've been playing Amber Sapphire. I've been saying that I talked about it earlier. It is the most tolerable. It's fun, but it's also frustrating. But it's a 2-4-6 deck, right? We've got Sapphire Steel, we've got Baja, we've got these decks that want to ramp on 2, play Cindy on 4, and then follow it up with having a lot of ink and good cards in hand. I don't like Sapphire Steel. Baja was okay, but this one feels the best because it gives me that B prep feeling. I don't even have to play the card, and Kirsten is afraid of the card being in my hand. Or when I go to play the card, I draw from my turn, and she's already scooping up the cards on her board. I'm like, those are B prep feelings. It's coming back to me, the nostalgia. It's like, so it seems really nice. Moana is fun.
Yeah.
I like the legendary Moana. I'm sad I missed out on the legendary Daisy being good. I really wanted that to be good. But instead of messing with your opponent's ink, you should probably just get yourself more ink. So
I played in a match recently where that Daisy did work. They shifted that on, and it was not the standard, or no, I shouldn't say standard, but the typical Sapphire Amber that I've come to expect. It was a crazy build where Daisy shifted on, and then suddenly, at least the deck that I'm playing that has the ramp no longer has the ramp anymore, and then I just feel a turn behind when my ink comes in exerted. So, I mean, if that's any indicator that it's on people's radar,
yeah,
I think so.
6
Yeah,
cost, shift
6
4.
cost, shift
4. Yeah, so
That's
you play
support.
one ramp too, and then play. But then you could sing like
Go.
down in New Orleans, Dino.
Yeah,
Just
that was
like
in there.
further,
That was in
and then
there.
you further push it along with. You probably play the Gaston. Is Gaston even still tournament legal?
He's not, unfortunately. Otherwise,
Oh,
I'd still
man.
be playing my Dino deck if he was.
There's probably
That
other
deck was
good.
so much fun.
New
Shout out to War
Stitch,
Games.
right? New Stitch, 4 or 5 Stitch is probably.
Yep.
Snowboarder Stitch is probably in there.
Yep.
There's probably good 6 drops you could play with that.
I'll go
That's
see if I
not
can
terrible.
find decks on Dreamboard with her in it.
No,
Yeah,
that's not very
Sapphires.
meta relevant. But
Yeah, like Andy was saying, the B prep feeling, like I think there's even the B prep into Lady Tremaine feeling of, but instead of being like played around where they like drop a 1-drop and they're good card, you're just like, I don't have Lady Tremaine, I have Hades. I'm gonna ink that good card. That's my follow-up play. And so in some regards, it's even better.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you get it to enough ink, like the second board wipe you do. So I personally, I play a couple of the spooky sites. So I really like hitting them with the early spooky site. And then they're like, oh, that's fine. I'll just like triple dock in a row or whatever and play a billion more cards. And then at that point, I'm like, I've got 25 ink probably. And so then I hit them with the second board wipe and I a Raging Storm them. And I just followed up with like Snowboarder Stitch, Moana ink from discard, Sail ink that from discard, pass the turn. And it's like, now I've got 3 Hades left in my hand. What are you going to do?
Yeah. Maybe we need a good discard deck.
Don't put that on us, Jimmy. We went through our discard phase. We don't need another one.
Yeah, I don't know about
Speaking
that.
of decks, Jimmy, not discard, hopefully. What have you been playing around with?
Blurple. I've kind of titled it Nothing Special Blurple, which I think similar to like what I saw like JDDR originally had, where it's like the only new card is Let It Go, and it feels really boring and not
It's not even a
exciting.
new card.
Yeah, like it's new but not new.
Yeah.
But like just adding that one card, I think adds a lot of consistency to an already super consistent deck. And it's funny because before, in Whispers meta, everyone started at like 4 of the Hades, the Amethyst Hades. And then we are kind of like, sometimes it's not that great because it doesn't always do the thing you want it to. People started shaving to 3 to 2. And then as soon as you like realize, oh, he can sing Let It Go, now you're like, well, now I want 4 of them because I can draw 2 or get rid of something. Don't really care. The next turn, I'm going to sing Let It Go, get rid of another thing. And then like ink and play Demona, being able to like have that solid singer is nice because also helps dump your hand for Demona by being able to sing more songs.
Yeah.
So it's nothing exciting, nothing special Blurple, but it still does what it needs to do.
How do you feel about Pete? I see you only have a 1 of Pete in your list.
Yeah, I started at 3 and then I started chipping away. People like DKP, if you've heard of him, he had 0. I still kept the 1 in because I do like the card. I think it's one of those just good cards where it always kind of does something. I think it's special in that it is a 5/5 that can fight against aggro decks, while also being relevant in control mirrors. But it just is kind of getting squeezed out by the consistency of always slamming the Amethyst Hades, and just keeping your opponent pressured of either losing a card or I just get more cards, has been really powerful too. Versus Pete, sometimes you got a challenge, like I said, against aggro, but then you don't get his card. Whereas the Hades, you kind of might get cards against aggro, and then he'll be able to swing, and 3's usually good enough.
Yeah.
But 5's really nice against those tramps.
Have you considered with all the draw power that you have in here to the Royal Guard? I know a lot of people are hit. I think the Royal Guard, Rafiki, and Basil are the 3 1-drops that people sub in and out.
My current list has Rafiki, but I like both. I think Rafiki, honestly, was just kind of what I had sleeved up this week, and so that's what I played. I think it's slightly better against aggro and Amethyst Steel, but just having that baseline 3 versus needing to draw an additional card other than per turn to make Octopus up there. but against in like mirrors and stuff, and against bigger decks, Octopus is so good in that. You play like Demona, and I really liked him in Amber Amethyst last set because like I'd get him up to like Challenger 5 or 6, and I would just trade my Royal Guard 1-drop into their Demonas, their
Yeah.
Hades, and then I'd quest with all my cards that I didn't want to challenge with. And it just becomes such a lopsided trade. But you can really only set up some of those big swing turns with like Demona into Pop Guidebook against some of these slower decks. Others, you're like, I got to ink this guidebook. I got to get moving. I got to do something else.
Yeah. It's a big octopus.
Yeah,
I like it quite a bit. Blurple like still calls to me. I should be playing Blurple, but I'm just in a phase where I want to.
It's too meta now, man.
Yeah, we don't play that card though. It calls me. That's not a very good card in this deck. I just
maybe not in Blurple, no, but
no, we got to play that.
Maybe I'll throw it in.
Lelos.
Maybe I'll throw it in for some brand
Lelos.
supplies. Yeah.
So I've been testing Blurple as well, and the one card I do really think is nice is Sven. I don't like adding more uninkables, and I've become very bougie with the like 8 uninkables we had last set in Blurple. But I think you maybe need to find room for, in my opinion, at least 2 Sven. I wish I could run 4, but I mean 12 uninkables, that's unheard of. I cannot believe it.
That's wild.
I would never. Yeah. I'll get DQ'd from the tournament for that. But Sven, if you think about it, like it just like wins you like Amethyst mirrors as well, because it can trade. It doesn't trade. It takes out both Genie and Elsa. It trades a Dumbo if you really have to, but it also swings huge into Daisy Ducks, into opposing Pete's, or I've taken out Big Tinkerbell before. It's very powerful, and the rush on 4, which is your turn 3, is often huge, especially if you then pair it with the rush of Elsa, which means, if you got a 1-drop out and you were lucky, and then, a Tipo or hopefully another 1-drop if you can, but then now you've got 3, 4, you're keeping up by adding these rush characters. You're keeping up with their
what are you rushing on turn 3 though with Sven? Let's see, you get the most
they're
value.
aggro, right?
Oh, they're aggro, yeah.
A Daisy Duck,
Okay.
Even
you also
a
get
0-3 lady.
I was thinking strictly
freebies.
evasive, and I'm like, you want to, yeah.
But
And it's a good check too for the upcoming Genie and everything. Genie and Dumbo. It's like, well, I don't really want to play them and turn it sideways now because I have to deal with Sven first.
But yeah,
I think because people are playing 0 to 2 of him, even though you want to play 4, it's less expected. People will be looking at your ink and be like, okay, they're going into 4 ink. I'm good. I'm safe from Elsa. That's like the default. Muscle memory that you've built up the past 10 whatever sets, and so you think you're safe, and obviously that kind of goes away as it becomes more normal, but there's definitely like you're going against Amethyst Steel. They get their 1 2 3 set up or something, and you just have a Tipo out, and so they're like, yeah, I'll quest my Calhoun or whatever, and then you could just trade that to break up their sort of. And then what are they going to strength? You already sort of traded for something, and so it puts them in an awkward spot. I think similarly, he's just a really good card on the draw in Blurple Mirrors, because they play their Genie, their Elsa, and you can even play them like on your turn 4 where you have 5 ink, because like you played your Genie, you got outed with they played Elsa first, I lose, then you can just play your Sven, and you're kind of evening things back up.
In that specific scenario, just popped through my head there. Do you play Sven to trade into Calhoun just to throw your Sven away like that, or do you save that for a more like Calhoun's is a target? Like, yeah, he mentioned it, and I was like, I don't know that I would actually do that. Yeah, but
I wouldn't be opposed to it, but trading Sven is not that big a deal. It's just a matter of being able to remove something with rush is the biggest thing, and up to 5 strength is pretty nice. Up to 7 if you've got a Basil on board. But the nice thing about clapping back against them Elsaing you first. So you play Genie, they play Genie, you play Genie, they play Elsa. They both swing into your Genie. The next turn, you follow up with Sven, and you take out the Elsa with your challenger, and now they can't swing back with their Genie without trading it. So they're only out there as like a Cheshire or a Bell, or not turning their Genie sideways, right? So you kind of win the trade back.
Slow the game
right?
down when they were really pushing it forward.
So
I think I also earlier in very early testing, I one time as an Amethyst Steel player quested with Cheshire Cat to get one lore because I was like, I'm fine, and then they spend me, and I'm like, okay, I will never again do that. I thought I had a free quest before Elsa, but no, I did not. That might have been, I forget who that was, but that was a one and done, learn from our mistakes moment of just because the board's empty and they don't have 5 ink doesn't mean you're safe.
Yeah. So Sven I think is pretty nice. I struggle with, the uninkability really. But other than that, I think I think Jimmy's right. The deck feels just as strong, if not stronger, now that you have up to 4 more removal spells with these different options. And you win the dice roll and you've got like the turn 2 ramp and a Demona in hand. Oh boy, they're cooked. You just play everything from your hand and then Demona, draw a bunch of cards. Hades, it gets pretty scary for them.
Yeah. All right. Any other thoughts on Blurple?
When are you gonna play it again, Brad?
Well, it depends on how hard I want to try. We'll see. I do miss it. Blurple it's such an easy, I don't want to say easy, but it's such a comforting deck to play. You got your ramp, you got your draw, and you just do a lot of fun things with it. I think Demona is just an absolutely busted card. I love that card so much. So much that I tried to work.
Oh, sorry. Thought you were
No, I was gonna say so much. I love that Demona card so much it made me want to try to work the Grimorum in, and had some fun with it, but it wasn't optimal, as I've been pointed out to by Andy several times. But I had fun with it. Damn it!
Yeah.
What were you gonna say, Jimmy?
I was just gonna say, in terms of answering the 3 questions, that's what I'm playing, what I'm seeing. I'm seeing everything. I think part of it is new set. Obviously, people are trying more things until they settle into sort of their deck. But also, I think alluding to a question earlier from Jackalope, some people aren't taking necessarily the meta as I gotta figure out the best deck, so they're looking at more creative things, which is still good to pursue, and I think is bringing more diversity to what's out there. And then what I'm most afraid of, probably dogs with Chromacon if I'm on Blurple. It's winnable, but sometimes they just have it and you don't. I think
Yeah,
I don't want to play Wasabi is my problem. So I think I might just be on Team Dodge Dogs and just
let's
not get matched into them, and then there you go. You win all your other matches. To some degree, I think there's a lot of truth to that, though. Is you can't necessarily, in a healthy meta, you can't win every matchup. And I think we've had reasonably healthy metas compared to some other card games where we don't have one dominant beats everything deck. And
not for a while. Yeah.
You kind of, it's okay to have a matchup that you're like, you know what, I just lose this matchup and I have to be okay with that because I do so much better into these other matchups. And really all that boils down to is, can I accurately predict the meta of an event? And if so, what's the percentages that I was accurate about and can position my deck against? I predicted at Richmond that there would be a lot of Amethyst Steel, and there was. I played Amber Amethyst, wanting to beat it. I didn't get paired into any of it in the main event, but that's okay. We can predict, you get the matchups you get. That happens. But I do think that's part of it is you have to accept that there's certain matchups your deck's not going to do great against.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You touched on creativity earlier. Did you want to add to that real quickly, Andy, before I talked about my jank?
No, I was just gonna say I definitely agree that this meta seems like the most ripe to have some sort of craziness, win a big tournament. And I didn't really think about it until that question came up, until Jimmy sort of brought it up that, there is the possibility that a lot of these people who, were previously dedicating their, brain power to just like hyper trying to be the best to win, this prize of like an invite, to nationals or something. They're like, well, there isn't a DLC. And yeah, it might be nice to win a couple $1,000s, but I was going to go to that anyway. Maybe I try and cook this, right? Maybe I go for this beef Wellington, right? This nice
Is Lumineer of Fortune going to bring us some spice, you think, this set?
maybe
I
I
hope
don't know.
so. Last time I
Seeing-
reached out to him, shout out to Alex. Last time I reached out to him, he goes, "Man, I haven't played Constructed in months." I'm like,
Yeah,
"Bro,
he's
we
on
need to
Infinity.
see.
Maybe he's going
Yeah,
to
we need to
Indy.
see your spice."
We need the cook. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
always got something.
He's just
Yeah,
been
shout out
cooking
to him.
Infinity probably, and that's scary. We had some Infinity questions, I think, that maybe we'll get to in the future.
For sure.
But
I'm not forgetting you, Ryan. I absolutely want to answer your question. It just didn't really fit in tonight, unfortunately. But
we'll
we
be
will be
talking
looking toward
in the
Infinity
future, for sure.
very, very, very soon. On that note, I want to talk about the deck that I've been playing, at least briefly. I know we are running low on time here. I am looking at True Valor by Wonderful on Dreamborn currently. It currently has 39.1 thousand views on there, and it's a really, really exciting deck. It is a Ruby Amber deck that is not the Songs version, which he also created, that I was playing the first week here. Now I'm on this version here that was running Shark. It looks like he's updated it today and taken out all the sharks, which is baffling to me because I've had the most fun with that shark. The shark that can just recur Ohana, strike something for 3, as we talked about earlier. That's unfortunately sideways, and the shark can eat up that damage to play Ohana on it and just pull it back from the discard the next time he challenges too. And the combo that I was talking about was running the Rhea, who helped win me a set championship back in set 6, the Commandrin Rider, where every time you ink, you can ready a chosen character once per turn. And so challenging with a shark twice and healing him for 3 each time is absolutely insane. You could say it's a little bit of Christmas Dreamland, and it in a lot of things in combo building decks are, but it's not that hard to get to when you have your Willow and your bodyguards. Raja was an MVP that has helped me, even Ohana into something and get cards off of him and continue ramping up to playing that shark. Hopefully a turn or two earlier, depending on how many trees I can find and establish. But the play line I've been happy with so far has been Ilanwi, Lumiere, and protecting with Raja, and then seeing where I can go from there. I'd like to get the tree out a lot sooner, but I can't ever seem to find her when I want to. So I have to go the opposite route of presenting a lot more strength and turn. What's the word I'm looking for? Inviting them to turn sideways so I can do a little bit of control.
Let me ask you something, Brad.
Yeah.
So you said you like Elanwi into Lumiere into Raja?
Yeah.
So let's say you do that.
I mean, that's what I've been doing so far.
Right,
But
okay.
I don't know that.
Are you questing Elanwi and Lumiere the turn you play Raja out as a bodyguard?
I have in the past.
Okay, and then
I've been known to do that.
And then I play Sven and take out your Raja, and then
well, I
swing my
haven't
Rafiki
encountered that yet,
and
Andy.
my
I'm
Tipo
sure
into
you're
your
gonna
Elanwi
find the
into
most
Lumiere.
optimal answer for every
And
play
now
that
I'll
I
put
do,
the
and
most
that's
clear.
fine.
Okay, no, wait, I'm just saying. Wait. It just to me, it feels like what is the Raja protecting, right?
It depends.
Your
Like I'm not
Lumiere and your Grandmother
always doing
Willow
that.
are just as vulnerable by just simply not turning them sideways.
No,
You
I
just need the
understand. I'm
lure.
saying like in the instances that I've played where I'm playing like a blue yellow or some other deck that's building up to something, they don't have anything on board yet. Like where then if your only answer on turn 4 or turn 3 is for Sven to come out, he's only hitting Raja for 4, and I mean I guess Raja takes care of him without the Lumiere buff anyway. But that's just a play line that's on the top of my mind because I did it recently. Ideally, I'm ramping up to 4 and getting Wasabi out there, or if I depending on what's in my hand, I'm establishing the Bambi for
not Wasabi.
What? Yes. Did I say wasabi?
I think you did.
Oh no!
I guess.
Oh no!
I guess overall, my point.
Lore guide. He's got an amber or a sapphire card in his deck.
Overall, my question is just like looking at the deck. I like a lot of this, but the bodyguards of Raja and Minnie Mouse, what are they really?
I think it's Bambi, to me, is who you want to protect so you can get more than one quest off with them, or exert, rather.
But isn't that what Riot is there for? And you're supposed to send Bambi in essentially to challenge because you only need to exert.
And then you quest with them, get some cards ready.
I don't establish Lumiere if I'm working toward Bambi. I probably don't establish Lumiere because I want to get Willow out to get Bambi out sooner. Unfortunately, I just in my early because this is a brand new deck. I've been playing the songs deck for the last week, and the limited experience that I have with this one, it seems like I've been having more of a strength based play line. Like Mowgli wasn't in the deck before today. I think Flying Goof is a new card, and the sharks are completely gone. Yeah, which is really interesting to me. But he is only running 7 actions, so you're
it doesn't work.
But you're recurring them though every time you challenge with them. So it depends on the matchups that you get.
Found one, and then you can't ink so many of them, and he kind of competes with the Bambi, right? Because Bambi can only get characters.
So you want to slim it down.
But I guess I don't understand it because a lot of the cards you're playing before, like most of the cards you're playing in this deck, you seem like you don't really care about them all too much, right? You're just trying to get an overmass of like good value everywhere with Lumiere, Grandmother Willow, and Slushy. Even Bambi, like even just using Bambi once or twice if you have the Raya or something is fine, but you're already having to go past the fact that all of those cards are susceptible to Angel, Fire the Cannons, even your own Ruby Amber that I've seen you playing, Brad, with Little Sisu and Horseman and Let It Go's in even a Elsa or something. All of these cards are equally as vulnerable, and it just it seems like one of those decks that if it gets to do all of the things that it wants to do, those things are very, very strong.
Yeah,
but consistently
this list almost feels like a different one because I even see in the description like it mentions Elanwi, which I was talking to you Monday about adding because I think it's a good card. And World's Greatest Criminal Mind, he mentions the description,
which he's not running currently.
I did like the Ruben. I think Elanwi, like it says, is support's good for Criminal Mind if you're running it, as well as if you get the Mulan shift, supporting her to make her challenge even more devastating is pretty wild.
Yep.
I've
had a lot of fun with it.
There's a lot of fun combos here. I think it still needs tinkering, but
you could also, if your opponent had like a 4/4 character, you could -4 it with a Sarabi and then support it to give it +2 and then play the Headless Horseman on it just to kind of like style on him. Right?
It's like, why would I need to do that?
To style on him.
And then sorry, I thought it had to be exactly 2 strength. My bad. They try and take it easy on you because they think you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, but it's not perfect. Like Jimmy said, nothing really is, and it's week 2. There's going to be a lot of tinkering, and who knows the viability of it in the long term. And of course, up against the big dogs, mentioning dogs, literally dogs. I can overcome dogs. So far, it's once they drop the Chromacon that becomes really, really tricky because Amber Ruby has no item removal whatsoever. So you have to outmaneuver the Chromacon and hope that they don't find it. It's a real big pain because now that they have Nani, just another deck filter like the big tramp, like they're almost always going to find it. It actually baffles me that Luke's deck from Melbourne is only running 3 Chromacons, but I guess he only needs 3 when he has 8 cards that can just dig through the deck to find it. So, but yeah, it's been fun. Like I said, it's not super competitive. It's not at least with me piloting it, it's not yet, but I'm having fun with it and wanted to at least throw it in the discussion here, and I'll put a link in the description, as I will with every other deck that we've talked about tonight. So, any final thoughts here in the main segment, guys?
No, I mean,
Nothing.
keep practicing. Whatever you like. Like, the meta is still very new. If some of you are going to a tournament soon, we wish you the best of luck, but also, you know, all the power to you, because it's tough, right? You got to make a decision. You got to figure out what to play. It's crazy out there. Anything can do it. Anyone can cook, right? Like
That's right.
I don't know.
Except me. I let you cook, and then I
Blurple's
try it out
Just
myself.
don't burn it.
Blurple's
Yeah.
still probably the best. Blurple's still probably the best, I think, though. Get really good at Blurple.
It's the prettiest color combo, I think, but that's
Pretty good.
just an opinion. All right. With all that being said, why don't we jump into Villain of the Week? Jimmy, would you like to do the honors?
I would. Our apologies to Gantu, but this week's
All
villain of the week.
I said all hail. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. Our villain is Nani, Stage Manager. She is a 3-cost inkable amber card with 3 strength and 3 willpower. Quests for 1, has one ability. That's your cue. When you play this character, look at the top 4 cards of your deck. You may reveal a character card with cost 2 or less and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order.
Like I said, more filtering for dogs. It is absolutely insane. And we should very much mention this was illustrated by Jack Murphy. Yes.
Jake.
And which we'll be talking about. I'm sorry, Jake. Oh, I should have had you do it. Jake Murphy. And we'll talk about the rest of his cards in a little bit. This card, I was surprised. I thought when you nominated Nani yourself, because you just put Nani in the list, I thought it was going to be the Steel card, because all we see is Amethyst Steel here in St. Louis. I thought it was going to be Lo-Fi Nani. I'm like, I'll get on board with that. That's one of the best arts in the set, to me at least. And JDZ, shout out to him. But the power of this card is very evident when you play against an Amber deck, or at least the Dogs deck that it's currently appearing in the most. Yeah, just more filter, finding what you need, and it's very, very important for that deck to find the Under the Sea, to find the Chromacon, or find whatever the Lady Shift, to pull the things from the discard out before they drop the Chromacon, you know? So,
wait, the Nani's not going to help you find the Chromacon or Under the Sea.
Oh,
In fact,
right.
it's going to put those on the bottom of your deck,
Like,
and you're going to have a bad time.
You got me. That was a test. That was a test. You passed.
I will say, I think of it. I talked about this a bit earlier too, with like Amber Steel, finding docks and stuff. It's a card in a color that doesn't have a lot of draw. That's easy to get to. Obviously, I mentioned Ohana. Doesn't really fit into some of these aggro decks, but this one finds you your other aggro characters, and kind of replaces itself. Another really good card that we've seen played a lot, that you play it and it replaces itself, is Genie. Been a great card, right? I know this doesn't quest for 2. It's not exactly the same, but for, non-Amethyst cards can't be as good as Amethyst cards, right?
Obviously.
But it kind of has that vibe of like, okay, now I kind of have a 3-cost Singer. I have a 3/3 that is a little bit higher than my aggro character's stat line, and it gets me a card pretty much all the time if the deck's built, as a majority character deck. It may not be the perfect one you want, but there were so many times playing Testing Monday against Dogs where it's like, oh, look, I found another Daisy Duck on the top 4. Oh, I found a 2-cost Tramp. I'm now gonna gain 5 strength and banish your
my
Hades.
Milan for 6 Oh wait. Oh no, sorry. Sorry, I thought you okay, no. It would have worked.
But it just adds a lot of consistency, and you're not sitting at 0 cards in hand a lot of times when you just play this on 3. It kind of just keeps you going another more turn, even if it ends up being an ink.
Yeah, it works just like Scrooge McDuck in Sapphire when we used to be playing items. Remember those days back in my day? You play it, it's decent stats, 4-cost 4/4, and it gets you one of something that you have a lot of in your deck, right? And you kind of get to pick, right? You get a couple choices. This is the same same effect. The Scuttle that we played a little bit there. It gets you one more of the thing that your deck wants the most, which is pretty darn good. And yeah, it has stats, right? 3 cost 3/3 is we play a lot of those. We play Pete. We got Amethyst has got a lot of good ones that have 4 in them as well. Yeah, or yeah, like you said, the Amethyst replacing itself, Genie gets you one more Amethyst card, which is really what you want.
That's the best thing to draw.
Yeah, that's what your deck is. These are all 2 cost characters. These are all items. These are all good Amethyst cards. But yeah, it's a cool card.
I wanted to say I like thematically how this card works. But first, before I touch on that, I want to apologize to you and the listeners for Jimmy reading the card and then me just completely ignoring what it says when I talk about the actions and the lady shift. Of course, it doesn't work with this card whatsoever. But I like thematically how it's 2 cost or less, and like all the Lilos, a lot of the stitches are all within that range to where she brings it out. We had a really cool deck on the meta report from Manicore Games Shop this past week from Brandon, who was running just basically a Lilo and Stitch aggro deck. He called it Rockstar Phil because he had Philoctetes in there for hero gain. I think there's like 36 heroes in there. He had the Nani stage manager. He had all the Lilos. He had the free pudges. He had the stitches. He had the shifts for both of them. And he got a what's out? Pudge controls the weather, yeah. But he got a 3-0 with it, and it was just inspiring. It was really fun to see like a fun deck like that do work. And not only did he just put it together and say, I'll try this out on his dream board, he has an entire description of every single deck choice in there. And it's just a testament to, like, I think the thoughts that go into how these cards synergize with each other thematically, how close to possible they can with this Nani bringing out the Lilos and the Stitches if you wanted to play.
Because this could have been any Disney character, right?
Exactly.
They intentionally made it Nani, right?
If I 100% yes.
Yeah.
They're making a whole band with the rock stars. I'm waiting for the lead singer Gantu. Make it happen, Ravensburger. He's the lead singer, right?
Gantu is the lead singer, you think?
Could be a bassist, I think.
It could be a bassist. Oh no, Lilo's on the drums. I was gonna say I could see Gantu slamming some drums, but
I could see
Stitch could do vocals and lead guitar.
Cobra Bubbles on the keys.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about the art by Jake Murphy. He's got 6 cards in the game, including, of course, this Nani. The previous sets, we have the Darling Deer, which was Kristen the Grapes, one of her surprise cards in her Amber Steel decks, coming out and giving you an extra 2 lore on quest. Also in this set, we have the Thunderquack from Darkwing Duck. Prince Ahmed from a couple sets ago, Reign of Jafar came out. I think that was an Aladdin's Castle reveal. He had a really creative way of doing that. And then, hey, he's cosplayed as him before. Yeah.
It was awesome.
He's so good at that stuff. We Know the Way. Did we talk about that card earlier? Did you give me crap about
the combo card?
A combo card or something? I don't remember, but We Know the Way and Aduna.
You said it calls me, so I made the Moana
reference.
It's the same song.
I knew it was, right? Yeah. But yeah, if you want to see any more work by Jake Murphy, please check out a link below. I'll find his Instagram. I mean, I think every artist has an Instagram. If he doesn't, I'll find his art station or wherever his work is online, and definitely go check that out and support the great artists out there. Any last words? Villain of the week here, guys.
I do think We Know the Way is a different song. It calls me.
Oh, right.
Because We Know the Way has got like the whole chorus and everything. It calls me as more Moana's solo. Also, Thunderquack in foil looks really cool because it like kind of shines up the sky a bit behind it. That's about all I got.
Also, I don't think I have. Would you believe me if I told you that I went 3-0 at a sealed event where I pulled 3 the Thunderquacks?
Nice.
Because he also pulled 3 of the Lumpies.
I also pulled 3 Lumpies, and that's why I won. I didn't play any of the Thunderquacks, but it was just wild that I pulled 3 of them. I was like, this is a rare card. Why do I have 3 in my 6 packs? And it's not good. I wanted to play one just to give everyone villain category and just be like, now you are all villains. Baby. Let's you must subscribe. But yeah, it was crazy times.
All right, that's going to do it. Let us know your thoughts on Villain of the Week. We hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you're joining us on audio, please rate and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen.
And if you're joining us on YouTube, which if you're not, you really should, we have a ton of fun over here. You can check out Jimmy's awesome haircut.
Yeah, what's up, big haircut?
We also have Deck Test Tuesday. We've got the Meta Report with the Mayor. Like, subscribe, ring the bell, so you can be notified of all of our future episodes.
And we understand your time is valuable. We appreciate you spending some of it with us. If you'd like to follow along as we plot our devious plans, you can find us all on the socials, on all the socials, Rules of Villainy, and we also have a growing, I wouldn't say growing, I think it's grown. We got a giant community on Discord, which you can join with the link below.
And it can continue growing with that link. Until next week, stay safe, fellow villains. Be wary of wannabe heroes who want to disrupt your villainous plans. And as always, remember the rules of villainy.